In Mesa County, Colorado, Tina Peters was an elected county clerk with a spotless record. No prior criminal history, not even a traffic ticket. Her job, under Colorado law, was clear. The county clerk is directly responsible for preserving election records. Statute 15.060 states it plainly. The responsibility for election records belongs to the county clerk. Everything changed after the 2020 presidential election. Tina noticed irregularities in the vote counts that didn't add up. Concerned about the integrity of the results, she did exactly what the law required. She preserved forensic images of the voting system hard drives before any records could be altered or destroyed. Those images revealed troubling discrepancies, potential evidence of fraud that needed investigation. Tina didn't hide her findings. She prepared 3 detailed reports documenting the issues and presented them directly to the Mesa County Commissioners, Janet Rowland, Cody Davis, and Scott McInnes, her elected bosses. She asked for an official state inspection of the machines. Their response? Silence. No action. Deaf ears. With her official channels blocked, Tina sought an independent expert to examine the system. That is when the backlash began. The Colorado Secretary of State, Jenna Griswold, publicly declared Tina guilty of compromising voting machines, 2 full years before any charges were even filed or a trial began.
Well, I was the first Secretary of State in the country to actually have to deal with an insider threat. When the Mesa County clerk working with QAnon and the MyPillow guy compromised her own voting equipment trying to prove the big lie.
In a 2022 debate, Griswold repeatedly attacked Tina by name, laying the groundwork for public opinion against her long before the case went to court. Meanwhile, counties across Colorado were destroying 2020 election records within weeks, not the minimum 6 months required by law. The term trusted build, a software update process marketed as an election security measure, was used to justify these destructions. But trusted build did not appear anywhere in Colorado's official election statutes and was only added in September of 2025. It was never part of the law Tina was supposed to follow. Tina's images were the only surviving record of what really happened in Mesa County in 2020. When the Department of Justice later requested those records, Griswold's office claimed they didn't have to turn them over because they had already been destroyed. Tina was charged, not with election fraud, but with how she obtained access to the machines, identity theft, impersonating a public official, attempting to influence a public servant, and related offenses. The actual election data and the evidence of irregularities were never allowed to be examined in court. In 2024, Tina was convicted. She was sentenced to 9 years in prison, a harsh punishment for a non-violent first-time offender.
Ms. Peters, you are a privileged person. You are as privileged as they come. You are no hero, you abused your position, and you're a charlatan who used and is still using your prior position in office to peddle a snake oil that's been proven to be junk time and time again. You're as defiant as a defendant as this court has ever seen. You have no respect for the checks and balances of government. You have no respect for this court. You have no respect for law enforcement. And you do not have respect for your fellow colleagues. You are a charlatan. And you cannot help but lie, as easy it is for you to breathe. And prison is for those folks where we send people who are a danger to all of us. Prison is the only place that duly meets the purposes of sentencing in this matter. 9 years of incarceration.
But her ordeal didn't end there. As a 70-year-old Gold Star mother, Tina has endured brutal beatings from female gang members in her unit. From a letter by her attorney, Peter Ticktin, in 2021, Dominion, in an effort to cover its tracks, demanded that Jenna Griswold install a trusted build to take place on all Colorado Dominion brand equipment. Clerk Peters was lied to by both Dominion and Ms. Griswold's office and told that the trusted build would not wipe and overwrite the 2020 election data. After the trusted build was installed, Clerk Peters conducted a subsequent preservation of data, and she learned that it had, in fact, wiped and overwritten 29,000 files of the election records which were required to have been preserved by federal law. Clerk Peters' lone copy of the Colorado 2020 election is essential. Upon learning of the lone copy, Dominion immediately contacted Jenna Griswold in her capacity of Secretary of State that Clerk Peters be criminally charged with obtaining a copy of the 2020 election data prior to the installation of the trusted build, her life was threatened by a group of inmates to stab her and to kill her. Presently, she is in the smallest cell of her unit. It was formerly used for a washing machine and dryer. Despite having no disciplinary write-ups, she was moved to isolation under the phony narrative that it was for her own protection. But the truth is, the jail has a dedicated safe wing for low-risk inmates like Tina, non-gang members, and those without issues. Why wasn't she placed there? Because that wing allows unsupervised phone calls, which would have let her speak freely about the election irregularities she uncovered. Instead, her communications are heavily monitored and limited, stripping away her First Amendment rights. This isn't about jail policy or her safety, it's about keeping her silent. Many believe these conditions are designed to break her, to prevent her from continuing to speak about what her images revealed. Tina Peters could have looked the other way. She could have signed off on the results and kept her job, her freedom, her reputation. Instead, she chose to protect the integrity of the election process, even when it meant risking everything. She is not in prison because she broke the law to hide fraud. She is in prison because she tried to expose it.
I took one of these copies to every commissioner and to the DA. They did nothing. There were 29,000 election records that you can see on here in orange that were deleted from the people's Mesa County election system when they compared the first image that was taken and the second image. Gone, deleted. Another report, there were 36 wireless devices. Report number 3, ballots go in, there's a second fraudulent database that's created. Then the ballot is changed, and we know it's been changed because it's lacking the .sha file. Mr. Rubenstein accused me in court of recording on my iPad. I'm at a commissioner's hearing. They see the iPad in my purse. All of a sudden, 22 minutes they delayed the commissioner's hearing in order to go get a search warrant, and that's when all hell broke loose. They came in, descended on it like it was a drug bust. Grabbed the iPad. 66 recordings were extracted from the iPad. None of the 66 videos were recorded on February 7th, 2022. Then later, Rubenstein admitted he didn't know if I was recording or not. During the time they took this break, Janet Rowland bends down and says she won't want to come back here after this. And Cody Davis, that's sitting right back here, said, "Sacrificial lamb." He called me a sacrificial lamb.
Tina Peters followed her legal duty as county clerk. She reported suspected fraud through proper channels. She preserved records she was responsible for protecting. And for that, she's been made a political prisoner. The public deserves to know the truth about 2020. The public deserves answers about why election records were destroyed so quickly. And Tina Peters deserves justice. Demand transparency. Demand accountability. Demand freedom for Tina Peters.
Griswold, elected with George Soros money, has offered to let me return to my job in elections, the one that you elected me to do. If and only if I make a public statement saying we don't need more transparency in our elections and that there was no voter fraud. I say never.